Welcome to this edition of Cooking in Mr. Terazzi's Kitchen. Welcome into the kitchen, Mr. Terazzi here, and today we're talking turkey tetrazzini, which is a casserole made using turkey, egg noodles, vegetables like mushrooms and peas, a cream sauce, some cheese, and a breadcrumb topping to get a nice crisp topping. Now, this is the kind of a dish that you'll often see after Thanksgiving when people have all that leftover turkey meat. However, turkey is not the only meat you can use here. You can use chicken. There are a lot of recipes out there for chicken tetrazzini as well. But it is a really delicious, very warm, comforting dish. And we're going to make that for you today. Now, the origins of this dish, it's said that this dish was invented in San Francisco in the early 1900s, around 1908 to 1910, by a chef in San Francisco, and the dish was created for Italian opera star Luisa Tetrazzini. I don't know if that's true, but it makes for good trivia. So anyway, it's said that he created the dish, named it after Miss Tetrazzini. Who knows, but it does sound pretty cool. And now, let's get cooking. Let's take a look at our ingredients. Start with 12 ounces of mushrooms sliced, 8 tablespoons of butter divided into 3, 4, and 1 tablespoon portions. Next, we have a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 12-ounce bag of egg noodles, 1½ cups of milk and a 1/4 cup of heavy cream mixed together, 2 cups of chicken stock, a 1/4 cup of white wine with a splash of sherry wine vinegar, 3 cups of coarsely chopped cooked turkey, 1 cup of frozen peas, 1 cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, salt and pepper to taste, and then 1/3 cup of panko breadcrumbs, which we'll use for the topping. Now we're going to start by preparing our mushroom. For this recipe, I've chosen to use a whole cap, sometimes called baby bella mushroom, because it looks like a small portobello. Now mushrooms, because they come from the earth, may have a little bit of dirt on them. So I'm going to take a damp cloth and just wipe away any little bits of dirt that might be on there. You don't want to wash them necessarily by soaking in water, because mushrooms, they're like sponges and they'll soak up any water, and that'll make them very difficult to get the nice crispness that I want. Now I've removed the stem, okay, which you don't have to with these mushrooms. You can use it on, but I like to use the stems in vegetable stocks, right? They add a nice earthy flavor to the stock. So we take those, wipe away again any of the excess, and then once they're clean, we're going to be ready to go ahead and slice. So I have my chef knife, and I'm just going to cut these into about 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch slice, right? Definitely want them to be nice and uniform, rocking the knife through to get nice, even slices. As you can see, we already have a bunch that are already done. Watching those fingertips, thumb behind fingers, always get that claw. Mushrooms are ready to go. We'll add those to the bowl, and now they're ready to be sauteed. Now to saute our mushrooms, you're going to want a heavy bottom pot. Something preferably with a lot of surface area, because you don't want to crowd the mushrooms. You want to get the pan nice and hot, and then go ahead and add about 2 tablespoons of oil. And you can see by the way the oil moves as soon as it hits the pan that it really is nice and hot already. So once that pan is nice and hot, it's going to be time to go ahead and add the mushrooms. You should hear it sizzle as soon as it hits the pot. That's a sign that it is nice and hot. You can see how we've moved it around just a little bit to make sure that we get nice coverage on the bottom, right? We don't want to overcrowd. If you crowd, you're going to steam and then you're not going to get good color. I'm going to add just a little bit more oil because, as I mentioned earlier, they do soak up and they will soak the oil up as well. Stir them occasionally. Resist the urge to stir constantly. Let them get nice, good color. And you can see as we go here through the steps, they're getting nice color on them. And at this point, it's going to be time to go ahead and add a little bit of butter. So we're going to add 3 tablespoons of butter at this point here, which is going to add nice flavor. It's just going to finish them off by giving good flavor. We've seasoned with salt and pepper. Make sure they taste good through each step of the process. Next, we're going to prepare our sauce. In a pot, we have our milk, heavy cream, and chicken stock. We want to bring that up to temperature a little bit because we don't want to add it cold into the roux or we run the risk of breaking the roux. Once we have a little heat, we're going to add our vinegar, a little bit of salt because we want to flavor and season as we go along. Then we're going to put that on the back and start our roux. So we're going to add 4 tablespoons of butter to a pan. Melt the butter. Once the butter is melted, we're going to add our 1/4 cup of AP flour. We're going to cook that for about 2 to 3 minutes to cook out the raw taste of the flour. Right? You want to get rid of any of that raw flavor of flour. You don't want that in your sauce. Now, once we have that completely cooked out, we're going to be able to go ahead and start to add our cream. And you can see the difference in color. So we're going to slowly mix in the milk mixture, whisking it in as we go. Right? This is going to help to ensure that we don't break the roux and we get a really nice consistency on our sauce. You can see as you get more in, you can add in bigger batches. Continuing to whisk. You want to make sure that you're making sure there's no chunks or bits of flour. They're all being whisked out. And now we can go ahead and we can let that start to cook down. And you can see how it's still very liquidy and very loose. But as it cooks and comes up to a boil, it will start to thicken. So I have my pasta water on while this is cooking, making sure it's nice and seasoned. Should be seasoned like seawater. And we're going to go ahead and add our noodles to the pot. And we'll let those cook while the sauce is cooking down. Now I want to check the consistency of our sauce. Right, so we're whisking, and what we're going to do is take a spoon. Once we feel that the sauce is at the right consistency, take a spoon, and we're looking for what's called nappe. So what we're going to do is take your finger, run it down the spoon, and if the sauce holds and doesn't run, we've got that consistency. And nappe literally means just to coat the food, right? So if you're coating the spoon, you're good to go. Both pasta and cream are ready, and we can start to mix. Now it's time to go ahead and mix. So in a large bowl, combine your cooked egg noodles, your cream sauce, being sure to get all of it, adding in your mushrooms, your turkey, our peas, lemon juice, 2/3 of a cup of the Parmesan cheese. We're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper as well, but you want to be careful with the salt because Parmesan cheese is salty as well. Go ahead and give that a good mix to get all of the ingredients incorporated evenly. And once they're all evenly incorporated, we're going to go ahead and add to our casserole dish. This is pre-buttered, although you could use cooking spray as well. We're going to go ahead and add our mix right into the pan, being very careful not to get anything on the sides of the dish, as that will burn in the oven. Once that is done, we're going to go ahead and prepare our topping. So we have our panko breadcrumbs, 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese, and 1 tablespoon of melted butter. Go ahead and mix that together nice and evenly, and that's going to be our topping. Now, once that's all incorporated, we're going to go ahead and we're going to now add that right to the top of our casserole. So with your hand, just evenly distribute the breadcrumbs over the top of the casserole. Now, once that's ready, we have a preheated 350-degree oven. We're going to go ahead and place the casserole on a pan into the middle rack of that oven for 30 to 45 minutes. After this has been baking in the oven for about 30 minutes, you want to give it your first check. You're looking to see that it's bubbling on the outsides. You can see how it's bubbling around the sides, coming together nicely. You've got a nice golden brown GBD crust on top, which is going to be lovely. Once it comes out of the oven, bon appetit. Enjoy.